Is there something like the World Wide Web for voice? Or the other question is there a kind of TCP IP for voice? Or do we have any kind of overarching, widely accepted agreement of which to build voice service upon?
Malte, thank you for the question. And I would say we collectively are working toward that. And I think it's important to note, and Monica, I'm going to steal just a bit from you, but Dr. Lamb in her work has identified there's a number of ways that we can define interoperability. And one of those is addressed by the Amazon Voice Interoperability Initiative. Several of those are being addressed by Dr. Lamb's work. Several of those are being addressed by overlapping work, and we have such great respect for Monica and her work. We're bringing, a number of those pieces into the Open Voice Network. We're working toward an approach, Malte, that broadly would be addressing the 4 to 5 different ways we can define interoperability in voice. And we're working toward that. Currently, there is an approach to having multiple assistants on a single device. That exists, and the Amazon Voice Interoperability Initiative does that quite well. But moving beyond that, of sharing data and dialogue, and then moving, and doing that across multiple, let's say, ecosystems, that's in front of us. And Dr. Lamb has some published approaches to that. We in the Open Voice Network are working toward some protocol specifications that would enable that. And so moving in a direction of a light, usable, feasible, and scalable approach to enabling the sharing of data, dialogue, context, and control. That's in front of us, and I think we have that from Dr. Lamb, we'll be seeing that from the Open Voice Network in the next months. First 1.0, 0.1 approaches to that come July and August this year. Exciting prospects before us, but the work is, a lot of the work is before us.
Adding to what John said, I think I really see that there are 2 ways where standards emerge and drive commercial and consumer adoption, right? If you look at the internet and the World Wide Web and all those protocols, it was pretty much a very technical, technology-driven thing where the standards were basically there before commercial and consumer adoption started. There are other cases like with voice assistants where the industry or the business kind of started putting in out ecosystems there, which are very closed. And then you kind of come to the frictions in customer experience, and then you start thinking about, how can we bring them all together? So I think for us, it's a bit of the other way around, where we have established voice assistants with scale and with impact, worldwide. We're now trying to see how can we bring it together, which is a bit more difficult in my view than starting from something like the internet or the World Wide Web, where the standards exist. And I mean, they did a really great job in that, because those standards, which were kind of established in the 80s and 90s, still underpin most of the work. So I think that was really pioneering work in terms of thinking ahead. What we are doing is a bit of the other way around, right? Where there are existing stuff, and then we are trying to make them work with each other.
I think there is a huge difference between the World Wide Web and what we, this voice assistance. And that is because it is so easy, so difficult to put up voice interfaces. Whereas when you talk about the www, what you have to do is just to create some HTML files, and put it up, and you're on the web. But it is not that easy to make voice interfaces, and this is where we come in. And we believe that the cost of the development, if you look at Alexa and Google today, they are still doing mainly single commands. But you really, if you really want to conduct business, like what people do on the World Wide Web, you have to have a conversation. I want to be able to order this and so forth. So the technology is a main key. But the good news, however, is that on one hand we are making this technology much more accessible, and we're now working with companies to use this technology. This is the beginning, and we hope that because it is open source, a lot of people can work together and we can move this forward. The second part here is that the good news is with existing World Wide Web, we can leverage off on top of that. Everybody can use a search engine to find all kinds of websites. There are billions of websites out there. And the proposal I have with the World Wide Voice Web is to be able to just attach your agent once you build one as is kind of like a well-known URI off the page that you have. So in other words, we can solve the discovery problems really quickly because we are leveraging the World Wide Web. And what we now need to do is to make it very easy for people to just create their voice interfaces. And if everybody puts their information up on their own website, and it is open to anybody who is building any open, any virtual assistants, then you get an interoperability in a very deep, in a deeper way. You don't have to call up different assistants to talk to them because there will be a general assistant, and you can refer to all the different services that are provided by all the different companies.
This reminds me, Monica, on open infrastructure projects, which were back then starting when all the cloud interested parties joined together forces, and some of the work done in open infrastructure was coming from academia. And it was accepted by the business, and it's something which we already use in Swisscom in terms of infrastructure. And that's why I think it's a noble idea. What we need to find is, I think, at least the right approach for telcos to be able to implement the voice for their own needs, because at the end it's all about differentiation, providing users whatever are the key targets for each one of us. For me, it's we currently started big. We had a voice assistant, or ideas to have a voice assistant much larger than just on the TV box. At this point of time, it is part of the TV product. We do enable or extend the search and provide customers and with a better experience, and that's one of our main goals. But I'm just thinking what my feeling is. We did so as a voice community and people involved in the edge technology, we've seen a great leap in 2017 and 2018. What I would wish to see, or let me say, people working in the project, another leap in the voice where it will be simpler for customers to interact. And then at the end, in terms of interoperability, we have some initiatives today. Let's mention Amazon Interoperability Initiative. I think it's great what's happening now with voice, but I'm still waiting for not waiting. Let's say I would wish that the next step in terms of the voice technology and recognition is there, so we can reuse the dialogues and we can make it simpler for our customers in terms of user experience. Some of the challenges, there is one question, if I may just say a sentence about that, was challenges we have in case imaginably that we wanted at the beginning of the project to have maybe even 2 voice assistants. It was one of the questions, but some of the researches and feedbacks which we have from the control groups, and also we in the projects, we were estimating that it's not easy to explain customers which domain is supported by which assistant. That would be one challenge. I'm not saying it's unbridgeable or unsolvable, just saying. And also there were fears about cannibalizing our own assistant if, for example, another market leader is too much better than us with 50,000 skills and everything. What I can say as a quick feedback, we have seen, and there were research showing that our customers who have Alexa are still using more Swisscom for their daily or switching. My apologies. Stuff than Alexa. So I think the custom voice assistants they have their chance, and there is a motivation on our side to proceed developing it, and we'll see how the technology goes with the group and with the whole voice enthusiasts, which I find all of us here, and we will play along. We can't, as a telco, define the standards, but we can surely support them when there is a motivation. So I think people
Great.
here in this group are fantastic for this conversation, and I'm happy to be part of this exchange, because I believe like this we are creating standards. It's moving forward.